Hi, welcome to the garden today. You already see some people are in here asking questions. I did get 6 questions in the comments before the show, and I'm going to be doing a bit of talking, not just answering questions about personal matters. I'm going to be talking about dowsing or pendulums. Pendulums and dowsing are kind of the same thing. They use different instruments and I found out when I was first starting to work with the pendulum um, that there are a lot of very specific charts, and I'll talk about the website to go find those. There's also a lot of commercial things you can buy that are like boards or already created. And then Danny and I designed one 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, um, to help people lock in on their dowsing skills. So that's kind of what the first part of the show is going to be. Then we're going to go to um, to the readings. But first, I'm going to show you what I have on the table that relates to dowsing. Okay, these are dowsing instruments. These are the dowsing rods that you've seen some readers use, and they hold them in their hands. And if they cross, then that means yes. And if they go apart, that's no. But I'm going to tell you that's kind of basically, those are the kind that people use and walk around and look for water or pipes in the ground or things like that. Um, they're not terribly expensive. These are copper. They swing very freely because they're just kind of threaded through a thimble and then bent here. And I've used them. I went out and I used them when I was dowsing for the trails around Hogarth, my ley line tree, to point if the grass markings I thought if they were really ley lines or not. And so that's that particular kind. Um, Probably the thing you've seen more than anything else is a pendulum, which is just something that swings and it swings on the end of a chain. And this is the oldest pendulum that I own, and it was made for me by a fabricator when I used to work at psychic fairs. And she put it together for me, and she said, "You need to learn about pendulums." And at that time, I knew very little about pendulums. Probably most of you know a ton more than I knew at the time, but this pendulum is made up of stones, each one that marks a chakra color. And it actually had a couple more stones stuck on it, and they've disappeared over time. But I carry this with my deck of cards, and sometimes I'll use it when I'm at doing readings. As a matter of fact, that's how this show came about. I worked a party on Thursday night, and there got to be a lull in the readings, and this couple sat down at my table, and it's a Halloween party these women have been doing for years, but they now let men in, but the men have to wear the same weird plastic wigs they wear. And so this guy was sitting there with this long, bright red plastic wig on, and he was sitting with another young woman who's a fashion buyer for a major store here in Texas, and she travels all over the world finding fashion. She had just gotten back. She wasn't sure she was going to make it because she just flew in from Paris. And I'd already done their 3 month readings. And my agreement is with the hostess, I only do 3 month readings. And if I see something very intriguing, I'll do a yes, no. But I don't do any of my longer readings. And so they said, well, what else can you do? And I happen to be carrying this pendulum and this one, which is a Merkaba. If you know, that's the last form in sacred geometry. And that's really two pyramids sort of jammed together. And this was a gift from a friend of mine. We were in a store in Austin, and it swings very well. It's a lovely little uh, pendulum. And then I have this pendulum, which is a natural quartz that's been wire wrapped, and I had those three pendulums. So I don't let anybody else use this pendulum. So I use this one to show them how to sort of practice and see how pendulum works. You put your hand out flat, and you say, okay, get it still. Say, which way is yes? Mine moves very quickly. Oh, and you can't see where it's moving, but it's going like that. Um, and then I asked it to do which way it was no, and they went, well, we can't do that. You know how to do that. And I said, yes, you can. So they both held the uh, the, the pendulum over their hands, and it took them a little bit of time. But the woman who travels all over the world, she said, "Oh my God, this is the freakiest thing I've ever felt. It's moving. It's like I'm not moving it. I'm just holding it, and it's moving." So after I saw how engaged they became with pendulums, I thought, I haven't done a pendulum show in a while. So I'm doing a pendulum show. So those are the three that I used last Thursday night. And then this pendulum is the one you may have seen me when I do past life readings. That's a tiger's eye, and it matches up with my past life oracle garden. And this was manufactured for me by Alma. And I'm going to give you a hint about chains. These are called paperclip chains, and they don't knot. And I cannot tell you how frustrating it is, because this little chain, it's a cute little chain, but if it rides around in my bag and I don't touch it, it knots itself up in my bag. And then you have to untie the knots. They're not impossible to undo, but they're just a pain in the butt. This chain, for some reason, the way it's linked together, it's never knotted on me. So I'm just telling you, when you look at your pendulums, when you're going to buy one, look at the chains. Now I have these three pendulums, because pendulums can be stone, pendulums can be crystal, pendulums also can be wood. And this shape, these are a set I got as 3 because I was going on Amazon one day, and it's basically the same shape, and it's a shape you see in ancient Egyptian tombs about pendulums. This one's a quartz crystal, this one's solid metal, and it's very heavy and very hard, and this is wood, and this is another shape you see in Egyptian tombs, and it's called an then the way you spell it is, I'll post it as a comment because I didn't think to put this up here first. EOAS. If you look that up on Amazon somewhere, this word, it didn't like my posting anything. Error occurred. It's not letting me post, guys. I don't know if you're having trouble posting, but it's my show. Why can't I post? Anyway, it's ESOAS. It's this. And it came with this little book and a little bag to carry them in. You can make your own pendulum. I have necklaces I used to wear when I was reading, and before I would carry pendulums with me, I would use them as a pendulum. But each time you change your pendulum or your dowsing, whatever you're using to do the dowsing, check what's yes and what's no, and how to work with it. I just want to show you all the different forms that a pendulum can take, and the dowsing rods. And when I go back to the full camera, I'll show the dowsing rods in front of me. And to help people, I have things for free. You have to go to my website, which, where is it? Oh, no. I thought I entered it in here. I'm doing something. I'm sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time. My website's crystaldirections.com, and I put it in earlier today, but apparently I didn't push enter. And if you don't do that on this thing, it doesn't enter it. Anyway, and I'm going to scroll around the bottom. Yeah, banner. Show. Okay, that's my website. If you go there, then you can get the next couple things I'm going to show you. And yes, I'm making a mess of my chains, and I have to straighten them all out when I'm done. But on my website in the resources file, there is this, oh, here it is, this folder, and I'm sorry, it's kind of a mess, but I don't want to waste more paper printing it. It's called A Letter to Robin, and it's a free download PDF. I haven't stolen from anyone. They let you have it. And what it was written by a guy named Walt Woods, who is the American expert on dowsing. And it tells you all the ways to reach him, except he's dead now. I don't know who you reach when you go there, but it's got a whole table of comments. And what happened was this woman named Robin wrote him a series of letters saying, how does dowsing work? It's a mini course in pendulum dowsing's in here. It's how to use it. And he answered all of Robin's questions. And he had so much information that he turned it into a little booklet. If you download this, if you're really interested in dowsing, he's got charts and stories and how to establish a program and how to look for different things. And he also discusses the angle dowsing rods, the copper rods. He also has an interesting thing on map dowsing, and I've done that, and it's really interesting to see where things are. And Tim Walter, who's a friend of mine that's in York, who works with ley lines and earth energies, that's map dowsing is basically what he's doing when he's trying to figure out if a house has negative energy in it and how to clean it out. Anyway, it's a pretty dense document, you can see. And then at the end, there's a dowsing chart. And this chart, if you could just have this chart and do everything, but it's very confusing. Danny and I took a look at that chart, and we came up with this chart, which is also available at my website for free in the resources file, mostly because Danny and I just didn't want to have to deal with handling people's money. And this one is the one that you see me use before. And for me, this is always yes and this is always no, and they're marked on here that way. The reason Danny and I did this was when people were first really beginning to sense the ascension coming through them, and they wanted to know more about that, and they wanted to know, how can I tell whether I'm a 100 vibration, which is this little chart down here. And if you're at 100, well, the red ones are sort of the bad energies. That's all third dimension. Then this is some fourth dimension. And this is when you're into 5D energy, 4 and 5D energy. And it describes sort of the feelings you have around you. And the bottom third of this is victim and abuser consciousness. That's where you live. In the middle, it's self-enlightenment. And then above that is self-realization, all the way up to feeling really enlightened, having enlightenment. And the way we taught people to do this in the past is, let me see if I can pull one of these out here and not have it be, if you start by swinging it around and you ask, do I have permission to douse? That's all written on the paper here. This is a horrible camera for doing this. I like my other camera better, but I like this camera better for other things. Okay, this is, do I have permission to douse? And already told me yes. And it goes, okay, then you start swinging it again. Am I aligned with my higher self while I'm dowsing? A little bit off, but I'm good enough. And then this is the one that's really important. Am I fully protected? Because what you're asking when you're doing pendulums and dowsing is you're dealing with other energy that's passing through you. And you want to be sure. I'm sorry, an ant just crawled across my table. Can't have it crawl across here. Okay. Am I fully protected? And it says yes. And am I fully protected? It's a really important question, because a year ago I went back to the vintage clothing store just for Halloween to read. And that store is full of all kinds of crazy energy just because it's full of stuff other people have owned, and most of the people who've owned it are no longer with us. And when I swung for the Am I Fully Protected, my pendulum literally flew out of my hand and went across the aisle. So I got up and I got out all my sages and my different things, and I did the violet flame and cleared the area. And then when I swung it, it said, yes, I was fully protected. I, I would get very upset if it said I wasn't fully protected in my own office, but I already cleaned this out this morning. So that's how you start dowsing. And I would suggest doing that with any chart that you want to dowse. Do I have permission to dowse? Am I in touch with my higher self? And am I fully protected? And I made those two people do that too. And they thought that was kind of odd. But then after they felt the energy passing through them and making the pendulum swing, they thought, maybe that's a good idea. So that's all on this sheet. This sheet and the letter to Robin, the booklet on how to dowse in grand detail, is all on my website, Crystal Directions, in the resources folder. They're PDFs. Pretty much anybody can print a PDF. And I'm, so I'm not leaving you bereft and without a direction. So you can start to work with this stuff pretty easily. Pendulums are kind of fun. I try to keep my questions light. I'm going to read some heavier questions today. Because people ask me heavier questions. And so there's also another place where you can get lots and lots and lots of charts. And it is so much fun to go there. It's called Subteal, and I do know I put this in. Yes, show. It's scrolling at the base now. And Subteal is full of things. It's got like this one, and I don't know if we can see this. I don't know if my camera's working well today or not, if it's behaving. But this is one for the elementals. This has got elves, brownies, moss people, guardian trees, guardian forest, lady of the forest, and lord of the forest. And then once you say, okay, who's been here, who's been talking to me, and then you can see if they were friendly, if they're neutral, if they're grumpy, or if their energy's telling you to bugger off. And I think that's kind of cute. That's a fun one. So if you ever feel energy around your house, you can start seeing, because not all energy in our house is based on the spirits we tend to gravitate to thinking they are. They can be the elementals. And then this is a time one. And someone's asked a timing question about switching jobs. So I'm going to use this one later. But it's got tons. You can say, am I going to switch jobs? And it'll say yes, no, maybe. And if it says yes or maybe, then you can kind of swing it for when. And what they'll do is the pendulum will swing out to the specific spot. It's got days of the week, days of the month, the months, and then it's got on the very outer edges a 24-hour clock and a minutes. So I mean, try to get real specific. I've never found it to go to that specificity for me, but that's okay. Maybe I wasn't asking the right question. So if someone wants to know a question about something within the family, you can use this. It's got mother, father, sister, brother, stranger, teacher, mentor, colleague, all different sorts of people that might be around you. And so if you were to ask a question about them, I don't have much family, so I'm not real good at picking out family. But we have a person who has asked a question about family, so we'll see if we can work with that one. And then this one is about it's about who you're connected with and how you can relax and how you can feel about different things. And if you're asking for direction, what should I do? It'll say serve, rule, take on a task, do a mentoring job, enter into a relationship, let go, forgive, all kinds of things. And then this one's interesting. This is about spirit animals. And it's just, you can swing and find your spirit animal. And then this is another timing one, and it doesn't print very well, but it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, what time, and what percentage is it that it's going to come through at that time. And this is another one that's on timing because, like I said, I had a couple questions in the ones that came in about timing. Someone wants to know about changing jobs. And this one says, fit to douse, ask away. It already has built in it that, do I have permission to douse? And it's got poor concentration, trust us, need for angelic protection, need psychic protection. And then this one is signs of the zodiac, May, and it gives you the months that they match to, basically. And that's another one because, like I said, a lot of the questions I got today were timing. So I'm going to come back and get on camera briefly, mostly because I'm tired of leaning over that table. Okay. These are the dowsing rods, and the way people use them is okay. You get them so they quit swinging in front of you. Get them stable. Okay, which way is yes? For me, crossing is yes. And which way is no? They're swinging out. And I had these with me in my bag one day, and I met with a friend at Times 10, the wine place I used to read cards. And he was telling me he just couldn't figure out what was wrong with himself. And I said, well, let's see if we can douse and get an answer. And this is the thing you'll find a lot in The Letter to Robin, or there's another very good book. It's by a man named Hamish Miller. And Tim Walter, who I talked about, that does a lot of work with earth energies and does dowsing with maps. Hamish Miller traveled all over the world finding the main chakras of the world and dowsing there. And there's a bunch of documentaries on it. It's fascinating. You can find them on YouTube, and you spell Hamish, Hamish, and his last name is Miller. He unfortunately died in 2010, but he brought a lot of dowsing and how to use dowsing to light, and he always used these. He was a very successful businessman, and he decided to, I'm going to figure out which hand's which hand. It's really weird. This thing's the opposite of what you think. And he was a very successful businessman, and then he almost died. And then when he came out, he said, I always wanted to be a blacksmith. He became a blacksmith in a part of England where they do lots of dowsing, and he started making dowsing rods, and he started practicing with them, and he started teaching it. It's a fascinating story. So never say it's too late and that you can't do it. But my friend was saying, like I'd say yes, and my things. And so I was saying, okay, he was holding the rods, and I said, what's wrong with you? And this rod literally was swinging around, and the other one was staying that still. And I said, and this rod that was swinging around is my doing side. So he was doing way too much for other people, and he wasn't getting what he needed. And in this next 6 months, he found out through his work how true that was. So there's a lot of things you can learn about your own body energy by using dowsing rods. They're not terribly expensive. I would not get the ones that collapse up. Everybody I know who's gotten those, they're not hardy. I mean, these are hardy. They're just metal and wood. Okay, we're going to start with questions. And I'm going to show this. And the first question is from Cheryl. Is the spirit my 3-year-old son sees in the storage room? I'm going to use Danny in my chart to do this one. In the same spirit, my son, my friend, my son-in-law have also felt in the past. So I'm going to cut to the table so you can see what I see. And I hope I can get this to work a little better. Aim the camera a little better so you can see. And I'm going to use my dowsing rod. Okay. So I've already done my questions. I don't have to, once you ask, you don't have to ask again. Okay. Okay. Is the spirit that her 3-year-old grandson, is that one that's tied to that land? Yes, it's tied to that land. Is it the same spirit the other young men saw or found in the past? Yes, so that's your answer to your question is yes. And I'm going to ask one more question. Is this spirit peaceful? Is it just tied to that spot for some reason? It's peaceful. It's not going to hurt anyone. It's not a bad thing. It's just there. Now you can go in and you can ask it yes, no questions. If you've got your own pendulum, you could go in and say, were you here before 1900? I don't know where your storage room is. Were you here before 1900? Were you here? I can ask that much. Maybe I can get that much. Was that young man was that spirit in living form before 1900? Before 1900. So I don't know how old the house land goes back. Do you want to be freed? No, it's going that way. So it likes where it is. So you can go in and talk to it, maybe figure out who it is. That's another way people use pendulums. Okay, we're going to do the next one, which is, okay, this is one that I found. Both my elderly parents are failing physically. I wouldn't dare ask how much longer they have to live, but will they last longer? So then she did ask how much longer they're going to live. So she also had a concern about one parent going before the other. I'm freaked out enough just going. So that's what we're going to do. So I'd start swinging even though it's this shape. And I'd say, when is the first parent going to go? It's Aquarius. That would be January, February. Let's see if they're going to leave both relatively close to each other. Are both of them leaving at the same time? Yep. I think they're going to leave in Aquarius or Pisces because of where it swung the second time. I don't think there'll be much time between their passings. So that's what the pendulum's telling me. It's their free will that we're screwing with here. So now here's sort of a straight yes, no. Will it be sold to you? Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to do yes, no on it. And then I've got another chart that shows relatives. And I'm going to see if we see that there's a possibility. It's not going to go to you. Who is the member of your family that might be a problem with regards to that? Okay. Will Vivian's house, will she be able to get her grandparents' house? There's going to be a problem with it because it swung between the yes and the no. Let's see if you will eventually get their house. Yeah, you're going to have to fight for it. And that's what I kind of saw in my mind's eye when I read your question. Let's see. We're going to go find the family one. Aha. And all of these grids I'm showing you, they came from Subteal. If you go over there and you snatch some of their grids, throw them a little bit of money, because someone in France spends a great deal of time keeping that thing going, and it's very valuable. And if you come up with a dowsing chart you want to create for yourself, they have a form that you can fill out, and they'll create the dowsing chart. They have dowsing charts over there for medicine. They have dowsing charts there for temperament. They have a dowsing chart over there for which is archangels best for you to work with. There's about 300 of them over there. So let's see. Who in the family might cause problems for her about acquiring the house? If you have siblings who also want to be in that thing, or someone who's a brother and a sister, they're going to be the people who are going to either they're going to fight you about the price and want to up it, or something like that. And let's see, is anyone else working with them on block? Estates are like the worst. No, it just goes to brother and sister. So if you have siblings, you're not the only one who wants the house, or they want to get top dollar from you, even though you think, well, it's all in the family. Why can't we do this differently? Okay, Tammy Jackson. I live in Tennessee. My nephew lives in West Virginia. We both have experienced spirits, voices, shadows, and other occurrences. Are they related? Is it my dad or my brother? Well, we can start with who are you hearing and who is he hearing? Okay. Let's see. Who's Tammy hearing from? Do you have an aunt? It's fallen between aunt and grandfather. Okay. Who is Tammy's nephew hearing from? The brother. So you're both sensitive, you're both open, and your family members knew which ones to go to. And I think I did that right. Let's see. I'm going to ask, who's Tammy hearing from again? Because I think I got aunt for you. Who's Tammy hearing from? Yeah, I got aunt for you. I got your brother for him. So they're related in that you're both sensitives, and that happens to run in families, weirdly enough. Now, here's Ronnie. Ronnie is still not landed at the job she wants, and she wants to know if she'll get a teaching position by December. So we're going to put out this chart, which has the months, so it's a little easier to read. And will Ronnie, I'm sorry, I keep reading you like Rice-A-Roni. Will Ronnie get a job change in what month? And it shows Capricorn, which is Sagittarius Capricorn, which is December, January. And let's see. I'm going to ask if you're going to know about it before, because it may be a semester shift that they put you on. Okay. Will Ronnie know about the job change before December? Yeah, you're going to know about the job change before December. But the job change will happen, I think, on the semester mark between December and January. Okay, let's see. Yeah, 2808. When will I start getting out of this funk? I've started with the lockdown, but I'm still feeling it. Okay, let me see. Flipping through my papers here. Okay. That's not a good time. Let's see. We're going to try a different timing chart. This is the year, not in the simplified version. And if I can't get a clear answer out of this, then I'll go to the one that's the astrologic chart. Okay. When will Rosa start to pull out of her funk? November. It's swinging exactly between November and December. You can't see it because my hand's there, but it's right in there. Now we're going to try this. Do we have a date? Because we got a bunch of them out here. Do we have a date that something going to happen around this certain date? Well, it's falling between the 10th and the 17th of November or December. So look for some good things that happen there. And also, if you know your astrologic chart, look and see if some planets are shifting for you at that point in time, like a major square from one of the larger planets that move slowly in the outer edge. I got a feeling it's something like that for you. Okay, now I'm going to come back to me on camera, and we're going to look in chat and you guys got to be patient with me. Okay, so I can find out who's in chat. Okay. Okay, here's interesting question. I really want to know my pendulum's telling me the truth. The answer seems to change from time to time. In fact, a couple months it swings yes and no in the opposite direction. I view pendulum readings, unless I'm going towards a specific date, as being very a very short time frame thing to work with. But you might want to try some other things other than yes and no's. You might want to go on Subtil and find some of the, who is my spirit animal or something like that. See what that swings, see if it rings a bell with you, if you feel it in your heart. Try different sorts of questions. That would be a good way to do it. Let's see. Back to beginners. Hide. Make out comments. Okay. This was a good question. Hi, Vicky. How? It's not what I meant to see. Show. Is this one? No. Oops. What was it? Anyway, it was Ronnie was asking if you can make your own pendulums. And yes, you can. Yeah. Like I said, I used to wear a necklace and I would use it as a pendulum. Anything that'll swing. I'll tell you, the first pendulums I ever used was in the dorm at SMU. And we used to have a way to see if you're going to have male children or female children and how many kids you were going to have and would they be male or female. And all we had was a pencil with a pin stuck in the eraser and a line of thread that we were using. And in my case, it was right. It said I was going to have 3 kids. So it was a long hesitation on the third one. And that was true because I didn't have that one until I was 42. And I was like 18 when we were doing this in the dorm. So, hi, Dr. Gale. Glad to see you're up and around. Angla's here, and Angla and I spent a lot of time on Saturday together. And she was the only happy gardener that showed up for my gardening meeting. So we rolled a few things in it, and then we spent the rest of the time. This is an interesting comment. I did a simple map, dowsing for a friend's cat. It came up with the same info as an animal communicator. Very good, Karen. And that's another testimonial. So what can I say to dowsing, map dowsing? People ask me, yeah, it is Brit to say bugger off. I think that whole chart was done by a Brit because it talked about the green man basically in the forest, and that's more of a British thing. The chart variety really is cool, and it can make you rethink how you want to ask your questions. The Sunday that I found those charts, I sent them $20 and then I downloaded about 300 charts. I have those in my computer just so I can have them. And Voices from the Swamp is here. Oh, I'm glad you got here too, Sherry, not on the replay. So if you want to ask a question. No, there's too much free will in marriages and how they work out. Mimi, I wouldn't even want to try that one. You could try it. Get one of the number charts that goes 1 to 100 and see what you get. See, a lot of people have been doing this for a long time, since they were a child. Okay. Artistic world. Hide. She wants to know if she's going to meet a special friend soon. Let's see what we get. Use my universal Danny and Nancy chart. Danny was so sweet to put this together for me, because if y'all have been waiting for me to get this together, it still wouldn't be here. But he's a very good person to do that. Okay. Now you can go online and find lots of charts you need to pay for, but also there's some places in Etsy that give away free charts. But we're going to see if Artistic's going to meet someone soon. Not as soon as you want, about half the time that you want, because this is no and this is yet. That's about half. So it's not like tomorrow. It'll be a little bit delayed. So we'll see what we can do with that. And that was Artistic asked, finally in caps below, will I meet at Mansuna? Okay. I'm going to ignore that, because whoever it is not going to last long, and they're going to end up in a coalition government because the Republicans are eating each other up. And I don't know if you saw it, but Biden the Democratic Party way outraised the Republicans. And that's unheard of, because they got nothing but billionaires to get their money from. And all the Democratic donations, a lot of them are what they call small number donations. And people say, well, that's just 20 or 30 bucks. But if you're a person who can only afford to give 20 or 30 bucks, you're probably going to vote for the person that you gave the 20 or 30 bucks to. So I'm not going to waste a swing of my pendulum on the speakers. Thank you. Okay, show. Will my girlfriend and I be financially able to move to a new place within a year? Thank you. Okay. We're going to use the Danny chart. And if I don't switch cameras, you're not going to see anything. I like being able to switch cameras, but it does take time. Okay. Will you and your girlfriend be able to financially afford to move in the next year? It's going to be after a year, I'm afraid. Let me try it again. Will you find the money to financially move when you need to? I think it's more of a need to question. Yeah, you're going to have the money when you need it. The reason it's not giving it to you right now is because while you may want to move, there's a difference between wanting something and needing to do something. So, yeah, Mimi, I'll show you one more time. I'm not going to do that, because that's really too much free will. Hi, Vicky Howell. Are you back? Okay. Okay. I didn't see, Maya, if you left it in the community post, it was after I'd gone over and swooped up. I only found 6. I probably will go over and find yours, be 7th. So, looking for timing for the start of, I think that's new job. I think you suffer from the same typing errors I suffer from. So we're going to see. And looking. Okay. Okay. We're going to use a more confusing timing one, but I think it'll work better. If it doesn't work, we'll go back to the astrologic one. which I'm going to pull out right now. No, we're going to use this one. This is a little easier because it's just months and days. And you'll see what I'm talking about when I get over there. Okay. This is the months and days. And this is January, February, March, April, May, June, July. All months are there. And then the days. So we're going to see about your new job. Could you get a new job by the end of this month? Or you might find out about it at the end of this month and it goes into November. What day would she start the new job? In what month will she start the new job? Yeah, it's clearly over November. What date in November would she start this new job? It doesn't know. It went to the center, so it doesn't know yet. But that's kind of cool. You're going to find out by the end of this month and be able to move over to it. Oh, you're going through the background check right now. You got it, girl. Okay, what's this? Can we hear about more uses of dowsing rods? I remember doing that with a pencil. Dowsing rods are better for outside unless you get a really heavy, this is a really heavy metal ball. When I go outside, this is the one I use because the wind's not going to blow it around. It takes a bit to swing that one. And also, different qualities of materials attract different things. When I went out and dowsed for my ley lines, this is a very light pendulum, but I was asking for the ley lines going up to a tree, and this is made out of wood. So you can make a pendulum out of anything. But dowsing rods, you can use dowsing rods just like you can use a pendulum. You can use them for yes and no's. And there's some readers like, I think Marianne, that, who reads politics, and I watch politics, I just don't read them. She uses it when she's got a really serious thing. She'll use them there. Okay, let's see. Okay. Will my son be deployed? I'm going to use that on a chart that I know a lot of confidence in, the one that Danny and I designed. I'm used to doing yes, no on it, so. Okay, I'm going to use the heavy metal. Okay, will her son be deployed? Yes, I'm afraid he's going to get deployed. I don't know where he is or what all the circumstances are, but Janice, yes, he's going to be deployed. Okay. Hi, my best pendulum is copper coil. I suspect I feel the energy more with copper compound stone too. I also have an old-timey redwood one. I'll tell you a story about a friend of mine. She went into a store. It was full of crystals. It's in Denver. She was thinking about getting a pendulum, and she just couldn't figure out which pendulum to get. And she looked around the store, and she looked over on a stand that was across the aisle and down the way, and there was one of the pendulums was swinging. So that became her pendulum. She was standing there saying, should I get a pendulum? Okay, Beatrice. I'm struggling with becoming a diabetic. Do you see my health improving? I'm going to pick my standard one. I was on the edge of diabetes, Beatrice, and then I lost 125 pounds through keto. And I know there's like a lot of doctors who don't like that much, but the doctor I went to has helped a lot of people that were on the edge of diabetes get out of it. I don't know what your whole circumstance is. I don't know why your body's doing that, and that's for entertainment purposes only. I'm not a medical doctor, and YouTube's having a war with keto. Okay. Can Beatrice find a way to control her diabetes? And it says yes. And it says also, let's see, is Beatrice's health going to improve? Not unless you do something about it. I mean, just doing what you're doing now is not working, is basically, because this is the meh, it's neither yes nor no. So, and Maya's been waiting for this job for 4 months. Well, November's going to do it. The eclipses are probably being very good to you. They're bringing around the change you wanted. Okay, Janice is back wanting to know when her son will get deployed. Let's see if I can pull and put up. Yeah, I'm going to do the colorful, easy to follow zodiac calendar. I thought you asked when. Hide current comment. Yeah, I answered your son's going to be deployed. You didn't. Oh, then you put thank you when. Okay. And it won't help you if I can't show you. Oops. And I can't show you if I turn all my cameras off. I'm going to have a long nap after this one, guys, I tell you. Okay. When will her son, Janice's son, be deployed? It's showing March. It could be a while. It's February or March, because when they kind of cross these borders, they wiggle a little bit. But February or March. Yeah, Patrice, we can talk about that off the show because I'm really afraid of getting demonetized. And they're taking off guys who show the medical reports and everything. All I can do is speak to my own experience. And you just have to see. If no one else has any other questions, I'll run the banners for. Comments. Banners. I will run the banners for the website that has the different forms of dowsing charts. Geez. Find the words, Nancy. They're all in there. And there's everything in there from what pills to take. There's the guy who, the naturopath who does the different plants. And one of the things I would advise you to do, because it's one of the things that convinced me about dowsing, is keeping a journal on what I dowsed about. And I have a lot of little journals around on my desk for different things, but it kind of gives you an idea about what works with what. And the other thing is to practice dowsing. I was going to show you this today, and then I realized we have no small paper cups or anything in our house, but you take a stone or something and you put it kind of like the 3-card Monty, and you shuffle them all around so you don't know which one has the stone in it, and then you hold the dowsing, whatever you're using, whether it's a pendulum or using dowsing rods, and you hold it over it and you practice to see, because that'll give you a feel for when things are right, when the energy's flowing through you right. I've done this for so long now that I don't have to do it. But like I said, when I showed those people how to dowse, I'm trying to find one that's easy to see. I'm going to use my tiger's eye because it's easy to see. I just had them hold their hand out flat, and then you just say, you get it still, and then you just say, which way is yes? And mine goes immediately into yes, and it would do no. And in the couple I did, the woman's did like mine. Swinging away from her was yes. Swinging across her was no. The guy who I was working with, his did circles. One circle one way was yes, circle another way was no. So then I said, ask a question. You don't have to tell us what it is, but that you absolutely know the answer to, and see if it works, whether the answer is yes or no. And he sat there for about 5 minutes thinking of questions in it. As the more he tuned into it, the better it got. So I'm just saying, you practice a little bit, go over to Subteal and see what forms are there, and then get this letter to Robin. Yours will look considerably better than mine because mine has ended up with iced tea cups on it and things. But it's comprehensive, and you can learn how to dowse too. And that's an hour, and I'm gonna make absolutely sure to make a okay. Rose quartz is really, rose quartz is a pretty one. Oh, Vernie, your dog went fine. I don't need to even throw a pendulum on it. Although there was a grid form on that for animals, and there was one how to diagnose what's wrong with your animals. I'm going to show you this last one. Should I stay in the city I'm now or go back where I was? Well, we're going to see about staying in the city you're in now. And I got to shuffle my papers over here. Got to get it straight. Here it is. Okay, we're going to use the Danny chart. And when I'm finished with this reading, then I'll just say goodbye and cut off, okay? Get you straight to me, okay? Should you stay in the city you're in now? No, you got a solid no. Now we can ask if you should move back to the other city you were in. Should she move back where she was? Would it work out better for her there? You can see it. It's going right up to the yes. I think you already know what you ought to do. And I want to thank everyone for having come to visit with me today. And you have a good day. Bye.